Okay, this is a reflection on lesson 352 in A Course in Miracles. It says, judgment and love are opposites. From one come all the sorrows of the world, but from the other comes the peace of God himself. So 352 says, judgment and love are opposites. From one come all the sorrows of the world, but from the other comes the peace of God himself. And on the surface, this made me think about how judgment is saying something like I have a perception that something is how it shouldn't be, or something is not how it should be, or another person or a situation, whatever. Something I feel like in my head I know best and that needs to change versus, some other, like I need to change my perspective, right? So love feels like the opposite of that. Like it says, it feels more like I'm just accepting everything as it is. Nothing needs to change. I don't even need to change. That doesn't need to change. Everything is perfect just as it is. Perfect doesn't mean, oh, it feels great. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means there's no need to do anything here. There's no need to change anything. It's almost like a trust, almost like love and trust are similar in that way, where trust is like a humility that I don't have to think I know better than what's happening, which means I trust that something beyond me is orchestrating this, or that nothing is out there orchestrating it, and I trust that I can just let things happen. But there's that humility in that says, who am I to know how things should be different in order to be better than they are right now? And that really hits me because I have struggled with humility in my life, like literally every day. It's one of the biggest downloads I got during plant medicine journeys is that, which was fascinating because I did not expect that. That came out of left field. And I was like, what? And so I think about it often, how things may not feel good. It may not be the best version of what I could come up with. But how am I to know? Like I would think, oh, I want less pain. Oh, when I wake up in the morning, or I wish my kids weren't suffering through what they're going through, because it's that feeling of you can't help them through certain parts of life that they just have to go through. My parents are suffering and I can help them to some extent, but ultimately I can't undo the years of damage that got them to this point. And so there's this helplessness in it that makes me feel like I want to be doing more than I am, but I really can't. And if I could, who's to say that my idea is better than what's happening? Because of all the things, all the interplay between actions and like everything is orchestrated in some way that leads somewhere. And oftentimes when I get out of the way, things end up way better than I could have even imagined. And we've talked about how I have no ability to imagine things anyway, so they're always going to end up better than I can imagine. And so for me, I love feeling into that humility that says, who the hell am I to know what's best? What makes me think that I know better than anyone? Just like yesterday when I was saying, I was like poking the bear, like my husband, certain things, like I would love for him to experience what it's like to have the feeling of like my mood creates my reality, like my inner state creates my outer state. So like, how do I tend to my inner state? But who am I to say that's his path, or that that's even a good thing for him to do? So I recognize that, even though I still lack humility enough to do the things I probably shouldn't be doing. So this has been an ongoing, lifelong struggle between somewhere, even though it's not top of mind, saying I think I know best, that my actions might really be showing that. Like, oh, like I know I talk about social media way too much, but I think about that with social media and how people scream into the void of like, this should be different and you're wrong, and if you believe this, then unfriend me, and it's like, yikes. Like, I don't want to know you if this is how you think, what you believe, because beliefs are just thoughts. So, but who's to say anyone is better than another person? And that includes perspectives. Who's to say one perspective is better than another? Why do we feel like, and I've talked about this in other videos, because you can get down into like this, well, if any, like, what are our values? Well, other people's values, we all clash values. So who's to say one's better than another? Who's up on high saying, y'all, you've got the right values? And some might say, well, God, that's literally what God does. But you have to have a belief in God, and belief is just thought. You just have to think a God exists who has the values that you align with, and God is up there going, good job, good job. Isn't it interesting that that all exists in the mind? So, sorry, Course in Miracles. I know you don't agree with that, but that's where this lesson led me. But really, I didn't even think I was going to talk about all that, but the humility part was huge for me. And then the other piece about ringing in my ear, the other piece about how love feels like acceptance, feels like nothing has to change, nothing needs doing. I'm in my humility, I recognize that I don't have the best answer. It's like, especially out of 8 billion people, how could I have the best answer? What are the odds of that? And then if you think spiritually, if there's something else outside of humanity who's orchestrating this, then I sure as hell don't have the best answer. So why are we humans so certain of our viewpoints? And is there anything wrong with that? No, is there? Because it's like what we were, it's like, it's in us. So what makes it wrong if it's in us? So the other, where you, with this idea of love being acceptance for all that is, well, okay, then we accept that we humans do really weird things like that say, I'm better than you and my viewpoints are better. Even that is allowed. Even that, because I think about how we learn so much from each other in those interactions where we do clash. And that is mind expanding. It's heart opening. Well, sometimes it's heart closing until we go inward and say, why does my heart hurt? And then we work on ourselves. But you know what I mean? And then the other thing I thought about in that idea of acceptance is there's this energy of gotta do more, gotta be more. Oh my God, that's a quote from Dead Poets Society when they're in the cave and that one kid is like spouting off a poem and then he plays the saxophone. But anyway, God, I wonder if that's what he's talking about. So you gotta, like, this energy of it's never enough, apply it to anything in life. If you're not like the ultimate enlightened one, then there's probably this energy of like, it's not enough. Like, you do good work, you feel good for a moment, and then you're off seeking the next thing, the next better thing that you could be doing, that you could be feeling, experiencing, even more love that you could be giving. Like, it's no matter what it is, how you might classify it as good or bad, there's just this energy of like, not enough, not enough. And I think about how we internalize that and say, I'm not enough, I'm not enough. Like, what would ultimately lead me to a place of not seeking more, external or internal, and just rest in that love that says acceptance for all that is. There's no, I am enough, this is enough, you are enough, everything's enough, meaning there's no need for more. There's no need to go out to say, more, I want to bring in more, If anything, I feel like life is sometimes a stripping away that should be like, less, please. Less, 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 less. I feel like I get more from that, more love, more satisfaction, fulfillment, peace, all of that from like less, less, less. Can I have less, please? Less of all that causes division and separation and hurt and all of it. So that's where this lesson took me. So judgment is things are different than I think they should be, and I don't like it. And that keeps us in separation, division. It says it's all the sorrows of the world come from that. And it's so true when we look out and say, it's not enough. Something's like it's not enough, or this should be different than it is. It only hurts ourselves. There's only sorrow to come from that, causing harm for ourselves and others. And then to say, this is enough exactly as it is. Everything's fine. Yeah, maybe bad things are happening. Maybe I've experienced loss and this there's this grief and these bad, remember that's a perception of things are happening in my world and it's okay. It's okay. This too shall pass. And there's peace that is felt in those moments of saying, I physically hurt, or I'm physically experiencing grief, emotionally, physically. We still have those sensations that maybe we don't prefer, but it's okay. And then I feel like more sorrow doesn't come from that, does it? When we say it's okay. We can just move through the sorrow we have and rest, come to that place of resting in that peace. So that's what this lesson did for me. And here we are coming to the end. There's 13 more lessons or something. And I love it. It just keeps reiterating the same stuff. Judgment versus love. Everything that is love is going to bring us to peace and this feeling of unity. And it's this book took, I think there are 666 pages, which I think is kind of funny in the text version of this book. I have not even read the book yet. That was a goal this year that I did not achieve, but I did do the lessons. So the lesson part of the workbook part of the book is a whole other set of pages, but I just thought it was funny. Even in the text version, it took 666 evil little pages to get to that point, and it said it in a trillion different ways, or 365 different ways. I just think it's funny that it's beat us over the head. But it's not just that kind of feeling of reiterating. It's more okay, let's talk about it from this angle and this angle and this angle, which I appreciate, because it's the appreciation that we all have different viewpoints. And that's what love is okay, it's acceptance that we all have different viewpoints. Judgment is literally the opposite of that, saying my viewpoint is best. So it just took a million different ways to talk about it. And then hopefully by the end, each reader has latched onto the one that really resonated with them and went, oh, yes. I love this. Okay, bye.